What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 2021, my team career mode for Season 2, Round number 7, the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring. We start today with an activities. We've only got 2 spaces to work with, so we're actually going to do some G-Force training for Fernando Alonso after that mistake he made in the last race. I want to try and, he's got the raw pace, but he seems to be making mistakes and just can't quite make his way through the field a lot of the time, so we're going to try and make him a little bit better. We're going to redo an upgrade for our aerodynamics that failed, and then also put another one on the car. We're also going to upgrade our fabrication to Spec 2 for durability, just so that we can get some more durability upgrades going. And then having a look at R&D here, we are now still in second place. Red Bull have caught up a tiny little bit, but as you can see here, very, very close there with Red Bull, Ferrari. McLaren are actually a bit of a way back, but they do seem to still have the pace with us, with Red Bull. And Mercedes, in a lot of ways, have been falling by the wayside a little bit. Here's the setup that I'll be using for this race if you do want to copy it. So yeah, Mercedes, they're actually really, really close with us. At the start they were way ahead of everybody else. They are now pretty much right there with myself, McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull. But yeah, they've been a little bit off the pace recently, so interesting to see how they do here. So we go into Q1, and I do quite like this track. I'm pretty sure last season I did fairly well at this track, or at least, compared to where my car was, I had pretty good pace. And as you can see here, although I'm getting a little bit too wide and over the curbs on these laps, I put in a decent enough lap time, which ends up putting me P9 at the end of Q1. Pierre Gasly actually goes quickest, I guess riding off the high of his win in the French Grand Prix last time out. A couple of surprises here, Charles Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo both out in Q1. So don't know what happened with them. They just, Ferrari and McLaren, they should quite easily be getting, honestly, through to Q3. So for them to both be out in Q1 is pretty surprising, and this track can tend to be a little bit of a DRS train, so overtaking not necessarily the easiest thing once the race kind of gets spaced out a little bit. As we are onto our Q2 run, once again it's a very good run this time actually, and we beat Fernando Alonso. We are P5 in Q2, he comes out P8. No real surprises coming out of Q2. The 2 Aston Martins, actually quite surprising for them to both get through to Q2, because they've often, at least one of them, usually Lance Stroll, been going out in Q1 recently. And onto our Q3 lap, which honestly, it was pretty much the same sort of time, pretty much dead on the same time that I did in my Q2 lap. We actually go purple in the first sector this time. I think we went a little bit earlier than some other guys. There are a few other cars on track, I believe, but we were one of the first of the final lot of cars to go here, so pretty good sector here. And as you can see, I'm green, and I'm pretty happy with this lap, to be honest. It was a fairly good lap. Of course, purple first sector is obviously always going to be a good thing, and then I'm just riding the curbs well. It's a purple middle sector as well, so we're on to actually go quickest at the moment here. But like I said, a lot of cars, pretty much everybody else, still to go behind me for their final runs as we come around the final corner here to cross the line. I don't think it was quite as good of a final sector as my other 2 sectors. We go green in the final sector. That puts us at P5. We end up P7 after everyone's done their runs. We're just behind Fernando Alonso, just a 1/10 of a second behind him. So we're in a decent position for the race.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. The Spielberg circuit then is situated 700 metres above sea level, with just 10 corners making up one of the shortest laps of the season. One time around here is a distance of 2.6 miles, with the best overtaking chances into turn 1 or the tight uphill turn 3. Anthony Davidson joins me once again in the commentary box. And it's fantastic to have you with us here today, but I'm curious, as a man with experience out on the track, how do you stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
But from the moment qualifying's over, you start to feel the adrenaline in your body build up and the buzz in your stomach as you anticipate the run down into turn 1. It's all a bit like going into battle, and the unknown situation makes you nervous. Those pre-race nerves are a good thing. The day you don't have them means that you don't care anymore. And of course, you have to make sure that all the procedures are second nature to you, so that they're not taking up too much of your capacity.
It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and talented Spaniard Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Shaw, Giovinazzi, Gasly, Ocon, and Yuki Tsunoda. Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty. Lundgaard, George Russell and Stroll, Vettel, Raikkonen, Charles Leclerc and Daniel Ricciardo, Bottas, Mick Schumacher, Mazepin and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Okay, so Lewis Hamilton goes quickest in Q3, but doesn't start on pole. He starts in P11 after taking a 10-place grid penalty, so we move up to P6 as it's lights out, and away we go for the 2022 Austrian Grand Prix. We get a decent start, but not as good as Alonso up ahead, who gets a great run on the outside of Max Verstappen into turn 1 as he gets a little bit caught up around that corner. Sergio Perez has managed to get, well, actually he was in the lead thanks to Hamilton's penalty as we go in through to turn 2 here, and it's pretty much 3 wide up ahead with Alonso, Sainz and Verstappen. Alonso though has come out of that one in the best position. He is now up into P3, but Carlos Sainz is going to fight him into the next corner. Alonso is going to defend to the inside. We're going to have a sneaky little look up the inside of Verstappen, but can't quite do it into that corner. But it's a great start for Alonso. He's up into P3. He's into the podium places. If he can just keep this going, then that would be an awesome finish for him, and I'm hoping that we can fight our way through here because I know that I've got pretty good pace as we get a little bit too caught up over the curbs there. Hopefully didn't lose us too much time there, but yeah, that could have been a very scary moment for sure. So we're just trying to now compose ourselves a little bit. We've lost a bit of time to the guys ahead. We're not really falling into the clutches of Tsunoda behind, but yeah, we're definitely wanting to make some places up. As we look at the start here once again, looking from Lando Norris, who starts in P3. He gets a great run into turn 1, actually tries going around the outside, briefly gets into first place, but Sergio Perez gets him on the run up to, I guess, turn 2. I don't know, is the kink turn 2 or is the hairpin turn 2? I'm not really sure. He is trying though. Look at him, he's around the outside of Sergio Perez, coming around that corner, and they're still there, as there you can see the 3 wide of Alonso, Sainz and Verstappen. Alonso comes out better, and it's actually Norris that's come out best up ahead as well. He's now into the lead of the race, so he's going to be looking to see what he can do from the front of the pack. And something to note actually, Sergio Perez is on, I believe, medium tyres, whereas we're all on softs. So, yeah, interesting stuff there. I don't actually know how he's on mediums, because how does that work? Shouldn't he be on? Did we set? Yeah, it was dry in qualifying. Oh, I think Perez got through to Q3 on medium tyres. So he started the race on medium. So him getting overtaken by Norris at the start isn't the worst thing in the world, because he's on worse tyres anyway, so for him to just stay there and battle is good. As we look further back from ours, as Charles Leclerc is trying to make his way through the field after a very poor qualifying, George Russell actually looks to have a look around him into that corner into turn 1, but he doesn't. But then it's the 2 Aston Martins that are now fighting each other. Sebastian Vettel on the inside trying to defend from his teammate Lance Stroll on the outside. These two, the Aston Martins, not looking particularly quick this season. These guys having a good little battle of their own here though. However, they are outside the points. They're still too wide. Going through the next corner here, Vettel is just about going to keep it on the inside, keep the position from his teammate, and yeah, perhaps the guys down at Aston Martin not really wanting those guys to be fighting as hard as they are. As we go on to lap 5 now, Valtteri Bottas is out of the session with a mechanical failure, so that is a poor one for him. Of course, Bottas now in Williams for this season after a very strange change from winning the title with Mercedes last year to now being in a Williams this year. We are having a little look up the inside of Max Verstappen into the corner here, but we can't quite do it. We're a bit too far back. I don't want to go for an ultimate crazy lunge. But yeah, we want to try and get past these guys for sure. As we look further back, Lewis Hamilton trying to make his way through the field after his grid penalty. He's going for a move around the outside on Pierre Gasly into this tight right-hand corner at the top of the hill. He hasn't quite got it done yet though, and although Hamilton will have DRS, Gasly has DRS as well from Esteban Ocon up ahead, and they're still 2x2 all the way around here. It's a great little battle here. Pierre Gasly really showing how good of a driver he is, and he actually manages to fend off Lewis Hamilton, who's now in the clutches of Charles Leclerc. As we continue on here, as you can see, there's quite a decent gap back with us 6 cars at the front here to Yuki Tsunoda behind, but I'm now going to have another dive at Max Verstappen. This time I go in a bit deeper. I'm going to try and keep my car on the inside there. We just about get through without touching each other, and we've just about got past Max Verstappen, lost a bit of time to the guys up ahead, but we are now up into P5. Verstappen's still trying behind me though, but he can't quite do anything at this current point in time. As we look at a replay here of that overtake, as you see, I just got my nose up the inside of him there, kind of pushed him wide, but he was still just about on the track, just on the curb, and we managed to get the overtake on Verstappen. As you can see, it's very much a 6-way battle for the lead here. This top 6 really close to each other. Any one of us could win this race, and there's quite a big gap back to Tsunoda behind Max Verstappen now. It's Lando Norris still leading the way from Sergio Perez, who's still on those medium tyres and doing a great job, let me just say. If he can get them to last and go onto a set of softs at the end, because the rest of us are probably doing a one-stop from softs to mediums. If Perez can make these last, go onto softs right at the end, he's going to be in for a very good race indeed. Alonso still 3rd, Sainz 4th, myself 5th, and Verstappen 6th. This is the big battle right here, and now we're trying to make our way through the order. We're getting right up the back of Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. We're going to sneak our way up the inside, or it's going to be the outside for the tight right hand corner. We're going to outbrake him just about. We get a little bit caught up by my teammate Alonso up ahead. Have to have a little bit of a jink to the left to make sure we don't go into the back of him, but we've just about managed to get that done on Sainz, and now it's Alonso we're looking at, but it's actually Perez up ahead making a move on Lando Norris for the race lead. He may be on mediums, but he's doing a bloody fantastic job here. Let me just say, he could be in for an absolute race dominating result, as we're making Alonso go very defensive into the next corner, potentially trying to get a switchback on him. Norris up ahead is just about fending off Sergio Perez as he keeps the lead, and Sainz and Verstappen behind me. Look at this. This is 6 cars fighting for the lead of the race. I mean, it's just absolutely awesome. We've got 2 Red Bulls, 2 TGR Motorsport cars, a Ferrari and a McLaren. So 4 different teams here. It's really awesome to see. I mean, just awesome scenes, as now we've got a really good run on Fernando Alonso. We're going to have a look once again at the inside, but I don't want to do anything quite as crazy as I did on Sainz and as I did on Verstappen, because it's Alonso, it's my teammate. I really don't want to cost the race for either of us. So we don't quite get it done there, but this time we are quite a lot closer. We're actually going to go to the outside as Alonso defends to the inside. We both get caught up a little bit by Perez up ahead, but we've just about managed to get the move done. We're up into P3 now, into the podium positions. We've taken that off Alonso, and we've actually got a really good run on Sergio Perez, but he just positions his car in the perfect way to defend from us, and we can't quite do anything now. Norris has given himself a bit of a gap up front, but sure enough, myself and Perez managed to close that gap relatively quickly, and now we've got a really good run on Sergio Perez, but he's also having a look at Norris as Norris goes defensive into this corner. He's on the inside, Sergio Perez around the outside. This time it looks like he may have got it done. He's got the DRS. Norris doesn't, which means we get massively caught out by him. We've got DRS on Norris. We've gone for the overtake on him, and we're going to see if we can get 2 cars into one corner around the outside of Sergio Perez. This is an awesome battle for the lead here. You can see all 6 cars still in shot, all having a really good battle. We're not gonna let him go, but we just about have to lift out of that corner there. We're still right behind Sergio Perez though, but we can't quite get anything done. He's managing those medium tyres well. Well, I say he's managing them well. He's driving them very quick. So there's a good chance that he might actually not be managing those tyres particularly well, because he's really not struggling to stay on pace with all of our soft tyre runners. So potentially not great for Sergio Perez. This time though, on the front straight here, we're going to go for a move around the outside of Sergio Perez. The crowd makes a little bit of a cheer there as we get the move done and also have the DRS still. We were behind in the DRS activation zone and we are up into the lead, but then on this exact lap we're now coming into the pits and Sergio Perez is into the pits at the same time as us. That tells me that he has worked those medium tyres far too hard. He's burnt them up, and sure enough, he's onto a set of hard tyres. So the gamble that Perez made of starting off on the mediums, trying to probably go through, at least either do a two-stop or finish on the softs, has not worked out. We come out of the pits behind Lando Norris, but we're going to get a great run on him with the DRS to the inside of the next corner. He's going to just about try and keep it on the outside though. Once again, it's very, very tight between us. It's a drag race down to the next corner. This time, not quite as big of a gap in front as before, and he has a look again around the outside into the next corner, but he can't quite do it. We're back up into the race lead. We got undercut by Norris, but kind of somewhat expecting that to happen, but we've managed to get past him very quickly. Now at the back of the grid, the very, very back of the grid, we have a bit of a battle between the two Hasses. Haven't really seen a whole lot of these guys throughout this season because, well, they are always at the back of the grid. But it's actually Schumacher trying to get past Nikita Mazepin, and he's made the move stick, and Mazepin's still behind him having a little look. These guys actually aren't in dead last place. You've got, I believe, Nicholas Latifi in last place behind them, and then there's Bottas, who's retired from the session, but Mick Schumacher's managed to get that position. As we look back at the front of the grid again, as you can see, we are still not pulling away. We're just having to stay up in front, as now Max Verstappen is trying to make the move on Lando Norris, trying to go around the outside into that very, very tight corner. He hasn't quite managed to get it done here, as now Max Verstappen is a little bit vulnerable from Fernando Alonso, but Lando Norris has managed to get a great run on us. He's trying to go around the outside of this corner once again, but can't quite get it done. So we are still not out of it yet. We're still very much fighting with these guys, and now don't have DRS, and I'm using up a lot of my ERS, as now Fernando Alonso is attacking Max Verstappen. He wants that podium place back. He's really given him a good fight. He's actually ahead coming into the second to last corner, but now Verstappen has the inside corner. He's still going to try and just about stay there, but can't quite do it, and it means that Verstappen manages to keep that P3 for now. But I'm sure Alonso's not going to give up, but he's now got Carlos Sainz right behind him, putting the pressure on. So things are heating up quite a lot here, as now, as you can see here, Carlos Sainz is looking at Alonso, but it's actually Sergio Perez who's looking at a move on Carlos Sainz into this next tight corner. This is the main place for an overtake to happen, and he's not quite got it done yet. He's still there. Of course, Sergio Perez, he's now on the hard tyres, so he's got a pretty big tyre disadvantage to all of us. His strategy really doesn't seem to have worked out here, as sure enough, Carlos Sainz has got the grip advantage and manages to get to defend the position from Perez rather easily, as we are just still trying to make sure that these guys don't get past. They've got the DRS on us, but once they start fighting each other, we do get a bit of a gap through the corners, and that is what's helping me a lot here. Norris and Verstappen are really fighting each other quite a lot, and then Alonso and Sainz are just a little bit further back having their battle as well, as we accidentally open up the engineer radio screen. Did not mean to do that, that was a complete accident. But yeah, as you can see, especially into here with the DRS, and I'm trying to not burn up my ERS, because I found that in the first stint when I was behind all the other guys, I could actually use a lot of ERS and it wasn't really running out that much. But once I didn't have DRS and I was just trying to defend for myself, my ERS deployment was going pretty badly. As up ahead, Nikita Mazepin has come off the track there. Deja vu perhaps from last season at this exact same race where he crashed into Lance Stroll after Lance Stroll had a spin at this exact same corner, and that meant that Mazepin didn't finish the race. This time, Mazepin's just not turned. It looks like he's actually managed to get past Schumacher, perhaps in the pit stops, but has just thrown it away. Very, very close to disaster for some of the top drivers there, including myself, but he has come off and luckily this time hasn't had any damage. As we look further back, Charles Leclerc is wanting to get into the top 10. He's trying to make his way past Lance Stroll, and he's going to the inside for the second to last corner. It's a very, very scary, brave place to get an overtake done, as Pierre Gasly gets the overtake done on Kimi Raikkonen behind as well, and Charles Leclerc has managed to get himself up into the top 10, as just behind them you can see Kimi Raikkonen. He's now trying to defend from Esteban Ocon, but gets overtaken into turn 1. We now have a slow car up ahead of us, and that is Mick Schumacher. Blue flags are out. He pulls over in plenty of time for us, so doesn't impede us at all. Perhaps actually a bit of an awkward place for Norris and Verstappen there, as you can see they lost about 4/10 to us just into there, as they are now trying to get past Schumacher. Norris is trying to find his way past. Verstappen is trying to find his way past Norris. It's all getting a little bit chaotic here. Thankfully, Schumacher makes sure he gets out of the way for all the cars coming through. And now Verstappen and Norris are side by side coming into what I'm just going to say is turn 3. They're still side by side. Verstappen on the inside. This time around, he might be able to get it done. Norris is still hanging there on the outside, but it looks like he's just about had to give in, and that has now let Fernando Alonso come up. He wants that podium place really, really badly. He's up the inside of Lando Norris, but has had to just back out of that before this twisty section at the end of the lap here. He's going to have to settle for P4 right now, because he's still under pressure from Carlos Sainz behind, and then there's quite a big gap to Sergio Perez now, who's just losing a lot of time because he's on the hard tyres compared to everybody else being on the mediums. So it's now pretty much a 5-person battle, a 5-car battle for the race win, with Perez pretty much out of it. However, even then, we're actually looking very good for the win here. Other than the fact that our ERS deployment's getting a little bit scary, now that I've actually got more than a second gap. I've got like a 1.5 gap to who is now Verstappen in second place. It means that I don't have to be quite as aggressive with my ERS and with my defending, and they now don't have DRS on me, and it actually means that I start to pull away a little bit. When they were right behind me, even when they were battling each other, they were keeping with me because they had the DRS, they had the slipstream, and I didn't have that, and I was having to watch my ERS deployment. But now they're still fighting each other, but they now don't have the DRS on me. They don't have as much of a slipstream. They also, I think, getting past Schumacher lost them quite a lot of time, and as you can see now, we have just over a 2-second gap. We're just making time on these guys now. Not a whole lot, but we are making time on the cars behind. So the win is looking ever more possible in this race. We come towards the end of lap 34 of 36, and we're looking very, very good. About 2.2, 2.3 seconds ahead of Verstappen, and to be honest, getting a little bit boring at the end of the race, but it is looking good for us as we watch here right at the end of the final lap. Fernando Alonso could not quite get his way into third place. He's going to have to settle for fourth place, so it's a great finish for him still. But the winner of the Austrian Grand Prix for Season 2, we come home to win the Austrian Grand Prix. It's our first victory in this career mode, and we hear our victory for the first time.
Absolutely awesome, just amazing, well done.
I am very, very happy. I love this track. It's a great track, and we've come through from a very exciting race to win our first race of, I am hoping, many in this career mode. We take the checkered
A
flag.
fantastic team effort to secure victory here in the Styrian Alps. What do you think it was, Ant, that gave them the edge over the competition today?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
So there we are, first time on the top step of the podium. It's awesome to see our first race win in this career mode. I'm sure there'll be many more to come, but that was a very exciting race. Max Verstappen comes home for another P2 finish, still I believe yet to win a race in this career mode of ours, and Lando Norris comes home in P3. It's a great finish from Fernando Alonso for P4. Would have been awesome to have us both on the podium, but still a great finish. And Carlos Sainz in P5. There's quite a big gap back to Sergio Perez in P6. He was fighting for a win, and if he just made those tyres last on the first stint, he was honestly in for a win, a fairly easy win, but he couldn't unfortunately quite do it. In the drivers' standings, we end up finishing in P10. Lewis Hamilton, by the way, he finished in like P13. No points for him this time, so really not looking good for him at the top of the standings. He's had a pretty poor few rounds. Fernando Alonso now up to P12, so we're looking very good there. And for the team, we're now sitting P5 in the Constructors' Championship, moving up 2 places ahead of AlphaTauri and Alpine. So it's looking good for us. Our pace is starting to come, so let's just keep this momentum going and let's have a good season. We've got a potentially very good season ahead of us. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.